Tonight, tributes to a stalwart of Scottish politics. Former Liberal Democrat leader Sir Menzies Campbell dies at the age of 84. Those who knew him have been reflecting on his legacy.
I think it's impossible to overstate just how important Menzies Campbell was for the Liberal movement.
Also tonight, after a decade of fighting, the family of a man who died in prison finally get an apology.
Like we're in a daze type of thing, that we've actually, after 10 years, can hear them saying they're sorry that they killed him.
The Scottish Prison Service admits Alan Marshall's death in custody was unlawful. Authorities also accept failings in the investigation into it. Families say they've scattered the wrong ashes as police contact more than 70 people in an investigation into a former funeral director's.
And coming up in tonight's sport, a strong start for Team Europe in the Ryder Cup. And a huge weekend of football lies ahead with pressure mounting on certain managers.
I'm Laura Goodwin and this is Reporting Scotland. A true Liberal giant, just one of the many tributes paid to Sir Menzies Campbell, who has died at the age of 84. Ming, as he was widely known, led the Liberal Democrats from 2006 to 2007 and was MP for North East Fife for 28 years. He was also an Olympic and Commonwealth athlete. Our political correspondent Phil Sim looks back on his life and political legacy, and a warning: this report contains flash photography.
Menzies Campbell's spell as leader of the Lib Dems was a relatively short and turbulent one, but it doesn't tell you the half of a life in politics and beyond. He studied law at the University of Glasgow in a class including future Labour titans in John Smith and Donald Dewar.
And Ron Jones going to hang over to Menzies Campbell of Scotland.
He was also one of the fastest people in the world in the 1960s, racing in the Tokyo Olympics and the Commonwealth Games in Jamaica. He headed to the Commons as MP for North East Fife in 1987 and quickly became known for his principled approach, particularly on foreign affairs.
I think it's impossible to overstate just how important Menzies Campbell was for the Liberal movement, not just here at home but internationally as well. Remember, he was respected right across the world in terms of his incisive political insight and his diplomacy. I think in large part he will be remembered as the best foreign secretary that we never had.
He was noted as a staunch opponent of the war in Iraq and stepped up as his party's leader in 2006 following the resignation of Charles Kennedy. He only lasted 18 months himself, but would go on to the House of Lords, an elder statesman respected across politics.
He spoke with such principle about a number of issues, a lifelong campaigner for the Scottish Parliament, so he delighted in its establishment, and he was a strong voice on international relations as well. And crucially, any time you met Ming and his late wife Elspeth, they were wonderful company to enjoy, truly welcoming and generous individuals.
He had an influence beyond politics too, as Chancellor of the University of St Andrews for almost 20 years.
Well, Ming really was a people person, and that's often said about politicians, you know, that they have the knack of getting on with people. But I have never seen someone in public life who had such a gift for getting on with people, because he was genuinely extremely interested in them. He remembered faces, he remembered conversations, and so he always really gave something back to people.
Menzies Campbell was widely regarded with affection for a keen mind and strong principles, but also a courteous manner. He will be remembered by many as a true gentleman.
Sir Menzies Campbell, who's died at the age of 84. The Scottish Prison Service has admitted that the death of a man in custody was unlawful 10 years after he died. Alan Marshall was on remand at HMP Edinburgh when he was restrained face down by a group of prison officers. Katie Hunter's report contains images some viewers may find upsetting.
This CCTV shows Alan Marshall being restrained face down by prison officers. He was having a mental health crisis and needed medical help. Instead, some officers used their feet to keep him down. He died 4 days later in hospital. A decade after Alan's death, his family arrived in court hoping to hear the Scottish Prison Service, the Crown Office and the police admit their failings and apologise. They got their wish.
Accordingly, his death was unlawful for the purposes of the Human Rights Act.
The Lord Advocate similarly apologises for the failures specified in the minute.
The Chief Constable accepts that the investigation following the death of Alan Marshall fell below the required standard.
This was the first public acknowledgement in court that Alan Marshall's death was unlawful and the force used against him excessive.
It doesn't feel real. It's still like we're in a daze type of thing, that we've actually, after 10 years, can hear them saying they're sorry that they killed him and they breached his human rights. So it just doesn't feel real. It's not sunk in yet.
The family's lawyer says it should never have taken this long.
Finally, they've secured the admissions that they ought to have had, particularly from the Scottish Prison Service, immediately after Alan Marshall was killed. But instead, they've had denial and they've been ignored and they've had to fight for this for 10 years. So they finally have that today and I'm very happy for them.
The Crown Office and the police also admitted failures in their investigations. Among those failures, a decision by the Crown Office to grant the prison officers involved immunity from prosecution. The court heard this morning that amounted to an amnesty for people who might have been prosecuted.
It's really hard to underestimate the significance of what we saw today, and that is the extraordinary sight of the prison service, the Scottish ministers, the Crown and the police standing up and admitting in open court that they breached Alan Marshall's right to life, by the prison service in a restraint death that was unnecessary, and by the Crown and the police by failing to investigate that death.
The Scottish Prison Service, the Crown Office and the police all say they've made improvements in the last 10 years. Today was a significant day for Alan Marshall's family. The court is expected to make a ruling at a later date, reflecting today's admissions.
And Katie joins us now. Katie, are there wider implications of this for the handling of deaths in custody?
Well, Laura, in court this morning, the judge here, Lady Ross, described this as an exceptional case. And as you heard in that report, to hear people representing three such powerful public institutions stand up one after the other and admit failings and apologise was a big moment. What we didn't get today was a formal court order, but that will follow. And when it comes, Alan Marshall's family lawyers believe that could have implications across the UK, because they say there are aspects of this case that are a UK first, and ultimately they hope it will prevent future deaths in custody. But of course today was most important for Alan Marshall's family. His aunt Sharon said that this wasn't just a victory for Alan, but it was a victory for anyone who'd lost someone in custody and been denied justice.
OK, Katie, many thanks. The idea of introducing ID cards has always been contentious in the UK, despite them being commonplace in other parts of the world. Now the UK government wants to introduce digital IDs, they say, to make it harder for illegal migrants to work. But the Scottish Government says it's against any mandatory scheme as an infringement on daily lives and has described it as a Brit card, which would force Scots to be British. Ben Phillip reports.
Smartphones have become an integral part of modern life. They can do nearly anything. And now they could even help verify who we are. The Prime Minister wants to introduce mandatory digital ID to prove a person's right to live and work in the UK as a means of making borders more secure.
The concept of digital IDs isn't new. Similar schemes are used in countries around the world, including Australia, Denmark and India. So how do people here feel about them being introduced?
I think it's a good idea. I think that everybody has ID anyway.
More stuff's going digital, but
yeah,
unless they iron out the issues, it's going to cause issues for everyone using it.
It's just another thing to add to the list of things you've got to remember.
I'm not as bothered about it because we're so already over.
Yeah, we sold ourselves.
They know too much. You go into Tesco's, they know what you eat.
It's true, and what you're doing.
Brian is on holiday from Australia. Voluntary digital ID is used there to access online government services.
I think it's a positive step from my point of view, because if you have the right to work here, then you've got that ID. You can prove to your employer straight up that you have the right to work here. And yeah, if you've got nothing to hide, what's wrong with it?
Today, the Scottish Secretary and Deputy First Minister agreed on creating a green freeport in the Highlands, but not on digital ID.
Well, the Scottish Government is opposed to any card that is compulsory to have, compulsory to carry, and that anyone can demand to see at any point. And we await further information from the Prime Minister as to what the implications are for Scotland.
The only circumstances in which it is mandatory is when there are checks for someone's entitlement to be employed here in the United Kingdom. You're not going to have to be carrying it, you're not going to be checked as to whether you're carrying it. It's not a brick card, indeed it's not even a card, it's a digital identity.
A public consultation is expected to start later this year. Thousands have signed a petition against digital ID, which could be introduced before 2029. Ben Phillip, reporting Scotland, Aberdeen.
Laying a loved one to rest is an important and sacred part of saying goodbye. But now more than 70 people have contacted police over concerns about the practice of a former funeral directors operating in the Glasgow and Dumbarton areas. In some cases, families say they discovered they were given the wrong ashes. An investigation is ongoing, as Hope Webb reports.
Jackie and Liz have been best friends for over 30 years, but they've become even closer recently after the loss of Jackie's mum, dad and husband.
Thanks, Jackie.
After all three losses, Jackie used the services of A. Milne funeral directors. But last year, she was told her mother's ashes were found during a police search at their Springburn funeral parlour, months after she thought she'd scattered them. That left her doubting whether her husband's ashes were authentic. So in June, she decided to scatter them without knowing the truth.
They can't do DNA ashes, so because it's already been burnt, it's ash, so I just have to live with it, don't I? Just put it away with my head.
Meanwhile, Liz herself discovered a funeral plan she'd paid over £3,000 to secure never existed.
I paid by standing order, and I just paid it on a monthly basis. So because I paid standing order, there is no chance of me getting any financial retribution.
Police Scotland says over 200 witnesses have been interviewed, but believe more families are affected that don't know. Their inquiries have led them to find 18 urns within the firm's premises, but 5 of those remain unidentified.
I would like to encourage anybody who has any concerns relating specifically to A. Milne funeral directors, independent funeral directors, to please come forward.
2 women and a man were arrested in connection last year, but were released pending further inquiries. But a year after the investigation was launched, closure still feels far away for Jackie and Liz.
I mean, as you get older in life, people pass away. And so it's good that we have each other, and we have a lot of good friends that we can talk to and lean on. So it's just devastating for everybody. And this is going to bring it all back.
Hope Webb reporting. The financial outlook for Scotland's further education colleges is, in a word, bleak. According to a new report, all but 2 are facing unsustainable losses over the next 3 years, and 4 say they will run out of cash by the end of this financial year. The Scottish Funding Council says universities are not faring much better, with most of them in the red. So what will this mean for staff and students? Our business and economy editor Douglas Fraser reports.
The sun's shining on this generation of Scots at university without tuition fees. They've been subsidised by very high foreign student fees. That growth has stalled. So are we learning the system is broken?
We need to look at how it's funded, because it's not fair punishing, international students and, English students by making them pay extortionate amounts.
Higher education is treated more as a business venture than it is a public institution.
Free tuition is highly prized.
I wouldn't be at university if it wasn't for free tuition fees, and neither would my pals. And so if this wasn't an option, we'd be completely locked out of this entirely different opportunity that people who can afford it get to have.
This year, the funding watchdog has been busy with the Dundee University financial crisis, but other universities also have to cut costs quickly and try to boost income.
Universities are engines of the economy. They create the skilled workforce that Scotland so desperately needs, and create the businesses and the innovation that will put us on a trajectory to greater financial prosperity. So that's at risk when universities themselves are facing such a tight financial climate.
Universities in Scotland are in a very tight financial squeeze, but today's reports tell us that it's the college sector, 24 colleges with nearly 220,000 learners a year, that are in the most serious financial trouble.
Forecast college deficits are described as not sustainable, with cash running out for 4 colleges this year, rising to half of them next year. There's an imminent risk of some becoming insolvent this academic year.
So colleges have already had investment in them reduced by 17% in real terms since 21-22. They've taken difficult and often unpalatable decisions to reduce their staff headcount, reduce the amount of students that they teach, and are now looking at decisions like the closures of campuses and courses.
The Scottish Government says it recognises the vital role of colleges and universities and the high levels of pressure they face, so it's working closely with them to ensure a successful and sustainable future. Today's report will weigh on ministers' decisions for next year's Holyrood budget and on next year's election. Douglas Fraser reporting Scotland.
Right, let's get tonight's sport with Lewis, and you're teeing off with golf.
We certainly are, Laurie, yes. It's one of the biggest events in the golfing calendar, and it's unlike any other golf event, really. Some quite incredible atmospheres at times.
Yeah, a few interesting visitors as well today.
Exactly, that's for sure. Thank you. Hello there. Well, we're going to get to the football in a moment, but we absolutely start tonight with one of the biggest events in golf, the Ryder Cup, and it has been a very good start for Team Europe at Bethpage Black in New York. Not quite the perfect start for Open's Robert McIntyre, though. He was paired with Norwegian Victor Hovland in today's foursomes, hoping to make it 4 from 4 for Europe in the last match of the morning session. And despite drawing level with just a couple of holes to go, it wasn't to be for McIntyre, who isn't involved in the afternoon 4 balls, which are underway now. USA looking to turn things around, lead in one of the 4 matches at the moment. Now, it was yet another disappointing night at Ibrox as Rangers slumped to a 1-0 defeat in their opening Europa League match against Genk.
10 minutes difficult. I think the longer the game goes on, if we actually dominate the ball, and if you look at the last 2 games.
For the sake of using all the same words, it is frustrating because you feel like the weekend was a game against a team that have probably had a bit of confidence coming into that, speed and creating chances to tonight where you don't capitalise on it.
Well, it's not just Russell Martin feeling the heat. Jimmy Tillene's Aberdeen sit bottom, 1 place below Rangers without a goal or a win so far in the league. They suffered another defeat on Tuesday night, losing 2-0 to Dundee United at Tannadice. They're away to Motherwell tomorrow, the side that knocked them out of the League Cup last Saturday.
The players should relax and focus and be the best version of themselves they can be. And then I am responsible for the outcome in the long end, and I have a strong belief that we can turn this around. You have to respect that there can be pressure and there can be noise, it can be media, it can be social media, and the players just need to focus on what they can control. The rest.
Plenty more build-up to the Premiership matches on the BBC Sport website as well. Now, one of the fiercest rivalries in Scottish football will play out tonight for the first time ever in the Scottish Cup. Auchinleck Talbot and neighbours in the West of Scotland League, Cumnock Juniors, face off in the first round live over on BBC Scotland. Those who have experienced it say you can never forget it. So just what is it that stirs the passion so much in a small corner of East Ayrshire? Maybe it's best left to those who know it best.
I'm James Macaulay. I'm the programme editor, website administrator, club historian and building committee member. So I love Auchinleck Talbot.
My name is David Weir. I was born a Cumnock supporter just about 5 minutes from Townhead Park.
They hate us, we hate them, and that's it. That's the way it goes. That's what the rivalry's all about.
Talbot fans hate Cumnock fans, and Cumnock fans hate Talbot fans. You know, that's not to say Cumnock people hate Auchinleck people or vice versa.
The toilets have just been redone. Have you seen them? They're amazing. It's like a hotel toilet. My name's Eugene Crummy, lifelong Auchinleck Talbot fan and chair of the Beechwood Regeneration Committee. I think you have to go back to the mining heritage and the amount of miners and pits that were about here, and the fact there was a local derby with 2 junior teams a mile apart. How it's remained like that, I'm not quite sure.
I don't know what the rivalry's all about. It's been growing from my dad was a wee boy, and my dad's 68 year old now.
It's always been there, aye. It has.
I think it's just because the 2 villages are so close. So it goes along a mile between them, right? Obviously, when lads went in there, maybe to get a pint or anything like that, years ago, right, if they fell out with the boys in there and it's just erupted for there.
Half of Scotland will hopefully be watching, and half of Scotland will hopefully appreciate it as much as we do. So away the knock, boys.
Just a wee message to the boys, get your heads down, get stuck in, get the victory, Ika Pika, Baka Po.
Yeah, some nice ones to get the team fired up right
absolutely.
at the end there, Laura. It doesn't matter how many are in attendance, it's going to be very passionate.
That's it. That's exactly.
And before I go, I have to mention the rugby as well, Laura, because both Glasgow Warriors and Edinburgh begin their URC campaigns this weekend. Warriors host Sharks tonight.
Sounds good. Listen, that's one thing, but what about wrestling a bear, Lewis?
Oh, well, listen, I've not covered that.
Stay tuned, because he was once one of Scotland's biggest stars. Hercules the bear was owned by wrestler Andy Robin and his wife Maggie. He went on to star in adverts, TV shows and even a Bond movie. He also featured in the news when he escaped in the Outer Hebrides. Now he's the subject of a play which is touring Scotland. Our arts correspondent Pauline McLean has more.
Some stories are just meant to be told, like Hercules, the grizzly bear cub who grew up as part of a Scottish family.
We saw the opportunity to make something that resonates across all age ranges, so that whole families and intergenerational groups can come and see it together and enjoy it, and either see a clown version of a story that they know well, or an amazing piece of Scottish history that they might not have heard of before.
Hercules was adopted in 1975 by Scottish wrestler Andy Robin and his wife Maggie. And he hit the headlines in 1980 when he absconded while filming an advert in Uist.
Soldiers, police and volunteers are tonight searching the Hebrides for a missing film star. At 8 feet tall and over 40 stone in weight, he's thought to be the biggest missing actor since King Kong.
And the cast prepared for their show by following in his footsteps.
Because you think, like, well, it would be impossible to lose a grizzly bear. They're huge. And then when you go to Uist, you're like, oh, this is a bear-coloured island with bear-shaped hills everywhere. Actually, like, just the vastness of that landscape and all of the water, you know, really I was quite moved by how Andy and Maggie must have felt in those moments.
And with both Andy and Hercules gone, Maggie says she's delighted their story is still being shared.
We used to sit under this waterfall, and it was we just had such a magical time. So when I saw the puppets and Susie, who's magnificent at all these movements, oh, I've just been blown away with it all.
The show will tour Scotland this autumn, bringing Hercules the bear and his family to a new generation. Pauline McLean, reporting Scotland, Ayr.
A former professional rugby union player has become the first person to swim the full length of the Caledonian Canal from Fort William to Inverness. Ian Sinclair sat down with Sarah McMullen to tell her how it felt.
Day one was the longest day. I'd never swum more than 10 kilometres, and day one was 13. Their support has been amazing. My wife and my mum and dad and everybody surrounding me have been a very, very lucky person.
And you can watch that full interview on the news at 7 over on BBC Scotland in a few minutes. Now, don't forget, tomorrow morning on BBC Radio Scotland, it's the Saturday Show with Amy and Stephen. Here they are to tell you more.
Join us tomorrow morning on the Saturday Show, where we are going to be joined by this year's Scottish Strictly contestant. Ross King is going to be with us.
And we're also going to be joined by the world's strongest man, Invergordon's finest, Tom Stoatman, is going to be in the studio. I'm not entirely sure how he's going to fit inside the studio, though, at this stage.
We will try very hard to make sure that happens. And if you're a golf fan, you will know this already. We will be live in New York for the Ryder Cup. Join us, BBC Radio Scotland, tomorrow morning from 9.
We'll see you then.
Time now for the weather with Christopher.
Thank you very much indeed, Laura. Some lovely blue sky around today, but all change tomorrow. Thank you. Good evening to you. Yes, we've had another day of fine weather across much of the country with high pressure overhead. Some lovely sunshine, but the cloud did build through the course of the afternoon, didn't it? Certainly through central, southern and eastern Scotland. Through the course of this evening, still largely dry, still windy around the west coast, been very windy through the Hebrides today, and just one or two light showers perhaps grazing the east coast. Not as cold as last night. Temperatures here in towns and cities around 8 to 11 Celsius. You can see the rain over my shoulder though, because tomorrow a weather front moves in off the Atlantic, but it's running up against high pressure, so its eastward progress is fairly slow. That means if you're stuck underneath that rain band, it's with you for much of the day. And as a result, there is a Met Office yellow warning in force tomorrow through parts of Ayrshire, Dumfries and Galloway, across parts of Argyll and Lochaber, and that rain will be heavy and persistent. First thing, you can see many areas dry with some morning sunshine, but through the course of the morning, that rain band will work its way in. Heavy and persistent, poor conditions on the road, some localised flooding a possibility as well. But take a look mid-afternoon, you can see it's still a bit of an east-west split with that rain really focused in the west. The greens on the chart there just indicating how heavy it will be. But for the likes of Edinburgh, Dundee and Aberdeen, probably still dry at this stage. The best of the sunshine likely towards the Bamford-Buchan coast. And as that rain clears away from the west coast and the Hebrides, something a little bit brighter for you. Across the Northern Isles, generally dry and fine until much later in the day, because into Saturday evening, that rain becoming more widespread. We'll all see a good amount of it as we head through Saturday night. That takes us to Sunday, and we've still got that rain with us, this sort of circulation developing across the far north, and that means most of the wet weather will be concentrated across parts of the far north of the mainland and the Northern Isles. Elsewhere, through the central lowlands and the south, a drier, brighter day. Despite the sunshine, temperatures similar at around 14 or 15 Celsius, winds lighter too. That takes us to next week, and we have high pressure tantalisingly close, but you'll see weather fronts moving in off the Atlantic. So whilst much of England and Wales will be dry, we'll see a mixture of conditions with cloud and some showers at times and some brighter moments. This is Monday, best of the sunshine in the east and the northeast. Once again, temperatures around about the mid-teens. And then on Tuesday, a weather front just working its way further south and east. So there'll be some cloud and some showery outbreaks of rain. Warmest conditions likely up towards Inverness and the northeast. But tomorrow, some heavy rain for many. That's the forecast for now.
Thank you, Christopher. And Christopher and I will be here with your late news at around 10:30 tonight. Until then, from everyone on the team, do enjoy your evening and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.